We're here today at Free Play 2015 with Josh Sharpe of the IFPA. In a nutshell, explain to people that may not know, what is the IFPA?
Letter-wise, it's the International Flipper Pinball Association.
Yeah.
What we do is we try to promote and spread the awareness of competitive pinball wherever we can spread it, like a mad virus.
Hell yeah. How did the IFPA originally begin?
In the 90s?
Yeah.
There was the industry association, so like the association that was at the trade show that's still organizing on behalf of the industry, wanted to set up as a way to promote pinball leagues into bars for operators to use. They created the IPA similar to the National Dart Association.
Okay.
So it was a way for operators to be able to say, hey, we're running this official league at our establishment for the players to come and show up and participate in.
And how did you come into running it and adminning it?
They were around from 91 to 95, and then they went defunct, hiatus, permanent hiatus, and it was 06 where I had the idea to create a world rankings for pinball players after reading an article on marathon running and the creation of a world ranking for marathon runners, and thought that an idea like that could work really well for pinball because we had a bunch of people that were playing all over the world, but we didn't really play each other directly. So if there was a way to be able to indirectly compare ourselves to our peers, that's what they were trying to get out of the marathon system. There was a lot of these individual marathons that were happening that had nothing to do with each other. So it was a way to bridge these pinball events that were all sort of just happening, Free Play Florida, yep, it's just its thing, and people show up, and then they go to wherever they go to next, or they wait for this event next year, and that's it. It's a way of bringing some sort of common purpose to, this growing base of events to sort of like raise the prestige of all of them at the same time. So with that, in terms of rather than it being like Josh Sharpe's napkin sketch, I feel like ranking system, right, there was a way of being able to, we knew the folks at the AMOA who had the rights to the IFPA, and talked to them about resurrecting the brand, and if they turned control over to us, and they asked us to come in and talk to them about like what were the ideas that we had in terms of what we were going to do with the brand. Sort of took them through our process. We wanted to bring back the IFPA World Championship, which the last one was in 94. Yeah.
Wow.
And sort of helping us sort of get kickstarted with a brand that the players would recognize to help make things more official.
How did it grow? How did it build? Were people already ready for that? A lot of people were like, hey, we're ready. We're on board. Let's do this.
I mean, between 9 years ago and now, we had the first ranking system I did, there were 500 players ranked, and there were about 50 events worldwide per year.
Okay.
We now have almost 38,000 players in the system, and there's roughly 2,500 events per year.
You find that it's the growth is compounding?
Constant.
And so it's big events, it's
the backbone,
leagues,
the backbone of growth is actually the local communities starting local. I mean, Free Play Florida is only one event every year. The growth in Florida isn't coming from is Free Play Florida, are they going to run it 10 times this year? No, they're not. So it's a lot of local communities getting leagues started in their area, getting the random bar in their cities, running a tournament every week, every month. That kind of grassroots growth, that's really the backbone of where we've been able to see all that growth.
And that's where kind of the repeat players are coming from, the rank movements are coming from. It's like this undertow.
And more important, I mean, I've seen it in Chicago with our local players. You get someone that shows up for a monthly for the first time, and over the next 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years, they'll grow to, maybe I'll go to Pinball Expo, which is the big Chicago event. Maybe a year after that, I'll travel to the neighboring states. I'll go to Michigan or Wisconsin or Minnesota. So So they'll slowly get more and more interested in traveling for tournament play if they really get sucked into it. And then to the point of like, I'll go to, you know, Pavo or to Pinburg or to some of the bigger national, I guess I'd call national events or international events.
What are the what's the demographic of people that are getting into professional pinball? Like, what are the demographics
it's
of?
Amazing. I always, for the longest time, well, how old are you?
I'm 34.
So Zach's 34 and I'm 36. And for the young, like the longest time, him and I were like the youngest players that played competitive pinball through the 90s. So we were like 13 and 15, and then as we got older, those were the youngest. We were the youngest ever. And since the first rankings that we did 10 years ago, the average age of our participants continues to drop. It's dropped 9 years over the course of 9 years in terms of the average age of a competitor that we're seeing in our database.
What is
So younger people are finding pinball, which is awesome because I didn't know how possible that was going to be.
Yeah, I'm a collector operator, and I just started running my first IFPA event 2 months ago, and then one last month, and one this month.
The Pops Club? Which one do you do?
No, I'm in Jacksonville, 904.
904.
So we're doing the month-long thing, which is before I get to the head-to-head play in 2016 is. Yeah, I have games on location, and it's great to see a parent and their child actually play together.
Oh yeah.
Instead of the kids staring at an iPhone and the parents staring at an iPhone and they're in their own they're in some other realm instead of playing with their kid for once. So when I see it, I'm like, that's awesome. And so which leads me to what you have the youth, you have a women's and a youth. What is the age that a kid?
It is 15 and under, I believe.
15 and
under 16.
So if someone's 3 and they plunge a ball, can they be? I mean, like, what? I want to know because, like, if I have a kid come into the arcade or a location, I don't know what to tell them.
We get a lot of people that like will accidentally like update their profile with like a birth date of like 2015 or whatever. So I think we filter out anyone that's like under 4 or under 5, like not thinking that there's anyone that can compete at that age. But we've had people that have been really young and have just emailed us and said, hey, my son isn't on the youth rankings and we can make sure that they get at it.
Okay, so it's a 4?
I'd say 4.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, basically, if you can see the whole playfield, that to me would be my criteria. If the kid's sitting on the ground staring at the coin slot, I'm not going to authorize that. But I just wondered because I see it coming to play.
If they can play a game by themselves, get them in, man.
Done. That's what I was thinking. And it's going to come. You know, I've had parents go around with their kids, and I'd be at the location. The kid's like, oh, I found on Pinside or Pinball Map, because I admin the Pinball Map in Jacksonville. And that's stuff like that. Really, it's on your phone. And people live on their phone now. I mean, it's a tool, but to me,
it's a huge tool.
But to me, it's like, we grew up. My story is I was an IT guy before doing operating games, but my story is I crawl into a computer chair and then I learn how to walk. So to me, technology it's passé. It's just a tool. Whereas for the many people, it's still new. Oh, this and that. It's just a rehashing to me. It's a little prettier, a little higher resolution.
Yeah.
But to me, once it becomes more passé, people will say, oh, well, there's a pinball machine. That's cool. I haven't played that in 10, 20 years. Or it'll be new. Like a kid will be like, hey, what's that?
It's still a really... And you walk around the floor and watch people interact with pinball, and you don't know whether they're interacting for the first time or if they're, whatever their previous experience has been. And it's just a magical game, man. There's something that you just can't recreate with any other medium. Compared to having a real ball floating around, a real piece of wood hitting real. You swearing to your thing or no?
I don't care. This is the internet.
Real SHIT on the playfield. It's real.
It's real shit. And honestly, to get philosophical, pinball puts you in the now. You can't. Your whole focus is on that playfield. You can't be like taking a fucking selfie and texting and this and that. And I was talking previously to people about digital, people Facebook this and Netflix, that stuff puts you in a dream state. Like watching media, TV, movies, that puts you in a dream state. Whereas pinball doesn't. You're still cognizant of what's around you, and it's a skill.
I haven't seen, I'll worry about pinball existing long term when something that's created by someone can give me that same experience.
That's
and
not
it is impossible. Until I'm shown otherwise, I'm saying it is impossible to create that exact experience.
I hope there's no madman or madwoman out there plotting to do that, but
good luck to you.
Yeah, good luck to you. Buddy pal. This year, how has growth been?
Same, consistent, up, more players actively playing year over year. Retention of players is really strong. It just, if our graphs had to be like profit graphs for a publicly traded company, we'd be aces, because we just show this graph that's just like, we grow every year, and that's how it should be. Our stock price is up, everything's great. It's no complaints, because the more people we get, the more soldiers you get that start spreading that love. It's almost impossible for it to slow down. It's just like we took this little thing like a snowball, and we flicked it down the hill, and it just keeps accumulating mass as it keeps rolling down the hill.
Well, I'll play devil's advocate, because there's
that's a pinball machine on The Simpsons, right? Devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Good call. Pinballnerding.com. Yeah. So new games are coming out.
Yep.
And it's not only collectors and operators; it's new people buying them.
You hope.
Well, at this point, we live in the now.
Yep.
So, also, I talk to people. A lot of people in pinball, all of us have done this: bought a game and restored it right back from the dead. And that.
Some of you. I don't have the skills to do that.
Everybody except for you.
More power to you.
So, and some people have done a lot.
Yeah.
And that's really, a blessing or whatever to the community, that these games would be either parted out, trashed, or just sitting in a warehouse. And that's kind of drying up. But those games are getting to collectors and new people. And to me, it's like, to spread what's going on, you have to have a lot more. You have to have more games out in locations, people's houses, and more events. So are we at that projection where there's more events on the horizon, or these events will get more people? Is that what we're looking at?
Yes, and I think the resurgence of the barcade over the last couple of years, going back to the 90s, location play in Chicago has always been awful. For being the home of Chicago, there was a handful of test locations to play at and nothing else. And to see what even Chicago and even the suburbs are like now, there's a ton of places to play that didn't exist 5 years ago. So it's making its way back as a form of entertainment at these establishments. And if it's getting people in there that wouldn't otherwise be in there, or finding a way to get someone to pull up a chair and stay at the location for an hour or two and eat and drink and do whatever, it seems to be a positive thing for the moment.
Because not everybody likes foosball, Bobby, and not everybody cares about sports or just entertainment. A lot of people, they want to do something to be entertained.
Is it more fun to sit around at a table staring at each other, or standing around a pinball machine talking and interacting while someone's playing, and maybe you're playing for who gets the next round or whatever? It's always more fun to be doing something and drinking than just drinking.
And I think that right now pinball is nostalgia. It's nostalgia to many, but to more and more, it's new. And so it's becoming nostalgia to new people. It's going to get to the point where it's we have more people that it's new to them. It's a current thing in their life, as opposed to being nostalgia. To me, once we get to that, then it's off to the races, because we're not just, I wanted a game, I'm over it. Some people just buy a game, I'm over it, and they don't want to play in tournaments. But it's fresh faces. It's people, because most people, to me, right? A lot of people never play pinball.
If you polled a random person walking through a mall, most of them probably have not.
I would call around Jacksonville looking for a place to play. I'd call movie theaters, and I'd say, hey, do you have a pinball machine? They said no. I heard in their voice they were like 18. I should have known. So I drove there like a few days later. There's a Batman pinball machine there. Well, I shouldn't even know what a pinball machine was. And you know, and a lot of times that I talk about pinball, or someone talks about pinball, they always reference that game on Windows 95. But that's all they remember, you know. So it's, to me, it's like it's totally untapped.
I tell you what, I think the future, though, the big growth, is going to be this like meshing of the digital world and the real world in terms of, like, I've seen what Farsight's Pinball Arcade has been able to do,
right, with
introducing people to pinball on a medium that they're comfortable with,
right, and
when the time comes when they're actually able to show new games that Stern is actively making, depending on how they're able to translate to that player, hey, you just played Game of Thrones, thank you very much. Would you like to play the real one? Because here's 5 that are within 25 miles of you.
I've been preaching that for a while, but yeah, and to me, Farsight is, even since on PlayStation 2 Hall of Fame, for what it is, everything's relative. You know, skills, you know, and quality. That was, for its platform, very good. It explained, you can learn the rules, you can learn the shots, and you can see, all right, this is cool, I want to play it. So even as far as back as then, and now it being on people's phones, yeah, I would love to get a plug for my AC/DC on route. I would love to get a plug for my X-Files on route. I would love to get a plug instead of, you know, I'm beating the streets, not just for my own games, for everybody in my region, even if I don't even work on their games, even if they're garbage, I have to warn them.
I think there'll be a way to use that in a positive way in the years to come that I think can be really special.
IFPA always has a calendar of events. Are you going to make an app someday of, hey, this is what we're doing, or because
I think we've had one in, like, that I can see for a while. It's definitely on the agenda at some point.
Yeah, because a lot of people, is there an app for that? I'm like, oh my God, there's a website.
I'd say in the next 10 years, absolutely there will be.
Yes. And then for 2016,
yes.
This year I started doing events, and I can't pull 10, 20, 30 people to any of my locations at one time. I had to do month-long, so everybody has a shot, no head-to-head. And the main change for next year is there has to be a component of a head-to-head to be a official sanctioned event.
Unfortunately, we're making people have to interact with other people. I know it's so scary for some people to want to dare talk to another person.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've encountered that in Seattle, of all places, and yeah. But it's
we are, yes.
And what makes next year the time to do it? Like, what is it, hitting a critical mass where you want to kind of fine tune it?
No, I think what ends up happening is the way that tournaments are valued, there's just a huge advantage to someone that runs a month-long tournament of a show up whenever you want, and there's never a time that we have any sort of finals that people have to get back together. It's way easier for them to get way more players than, say, a Free Play Florida, where you have to be here this specific weekend for this amount of time.
Right.
And it also allows you to play way more games over the course of a month, which also causes the value. So it's a little bit of a leveling of the playing field in terms of it's advantageous for those events to exist, and that causes those events to exist more often. So as a way of bringing that back into relative value with other formats, we're forcing those formats to have to add some sort of direct component with finals or with whatever.
And does that that new component give each event more value? The value goes up because of that component?
Well, it will, because you'll only be playing more pinball in your finals component.
I heard yesterday from another person that's doing an event that you could do two best qualifying games on each game. You could do that in the tournament.
You can do up to 3.
Up to 3. And what are the advantages of that?
like, I call it wasted data. So, like, the tournament behind us.
Right.
You play 5 games, right? And that's in your standing.
Right.
How many games do you think you actually played during qualifying? You played, right? I saw your name up there. Did you play more than 5 games?
A little more.
Okay. For some people, they played 105 games during the course of the weekend.
Right.
But the ability to, like, those 5 games that count, every other game played for those players don't count.
Right.
So because it doesn't count, it doesn't get added to the value of the event. So it's like, I call it wasted data. It's wasted games played. So for some events, especially events that maybe have fewer games, if they have 3 machines, it's like, well, I'll take the best 2 games instead of the best 1 game, because everyone's going to be playing 5, 6, 7, 8 times anyway. So it's just a way to make use of more data, and that's the data we use to calculate, the percentage that the tournament's worth.
If let's say there's an event that's going on for 30 days,
Yeah.
and they pull like 30 people,
Yeah.
what would be a good way to accrue more points for that kind of,
Play more games.
More games played. So,
Or, like,
Final 16, Final 8, Final 4.
There's 2 components to value.
Okay.
More players.
Right.
More games played. That's it.
And ranked.
And that all works itself out, though, depending on the players that you get.
Right.
Like, each player brings their value.
Right.
But the more players you get, the more people you have bringing value to the tournament. And the more games played, the more you get to keep that value versus getting 80% of it, or 60% of it, or 40% of it.
And when you're in qualifying, so I'll have 30 people in 30 days, 5 games. And it's 1 score, so that counts as 1. So then...
How do you keep track?
I have people in the arcade.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I don't have to be there.
That's good. I wish more places, if they could work with their location to get help.
Can you?
From the people there?
I'll ask for this.
Yeah,
because it's Greek to them. It really is. Could you come up with some kind of tutorial, like a little, hey, please help this lowly little collector operator. This is how the points are. This is how it works. You know what I mean? Like a card. Because I don't know what to write or explain. I explain things in a nutshell, but I don't really go into too depth. But I was wondering, to explain the locations and the players.
Anyone is welcome.
Right.
Email me. I've worked hand in hand with people to get things started in their communities.
Right.
And because everyone's situation is different with how many games do you have? Right. Is it point play, card play, time play?
Right.
How's the management? Do they work well with you, or are you on your own? How's the player community? There's so many variables that will lead to the best decision.
Right.
Email us and we'll walk you through what works. But we're adding a second monthly tournament that I'll be running near my house in Chicago, and the formats are going to be completely different, just based off of games available, resources from management, all those kind of things that lead to being able to do certain things or not do certain things.
Another component, how does time play into it? Like, let's say I have 30, I have 30 days, say the business opened 8 hours. Does that have any component to it, good or bad?
It does if your qualifying has unlimited attempts.
Okay.
So if you're allowing people to put up their qualifying scores and try as many times as they want to get their best, then you'll get to count up to 20 hours. So you get a 1% per hour. So you'll add 20% to the value of your tournament by giving people unlimited opportunities to play versus, hey, you can buy this entry and that's your only 1 entry for the month. That's it. Then you're done until December.
Right. Wow.
So, and that's a choice for a lot of people. If they have too many players, they don't have the chance to be able to let people play as often as they want. Or worse, if they have to be there to manage the event by themselves, it's like, hey, dude, I'm here for 5 hours. Everyone can play once and get the hell out of here, because I'm only here for 5 hours and then we're done.
And yeah, so I just started running events 2 months ago, and to let everybody know, it's not a challenge. It's not difficult. You guys don't make people jump through hoops and verify who you are, or whatever. We're all pinball people.
Get people together, run some tournament, run an event, get people playing pinball together. It's super easy. Like, the easiest thing to possibly do is go to printyourbrackets.com. I used to do it back in the day. If most people that play pinball, well, I guess maybe not, but following the sports model of, hey, we're ranking everyone from 1 to, we have 11 tonight, 1 to 11. You get the bracket, you fill in the names, off you go, like any other event that is a bracket event. Super easy.
And do you have any tips for anybody starting their first event, or any kind of protocols, or?
I mean, the big thing that we'll tell our organizers is talk to your players and see what they want, see what they don't want. I know that, like, for a while we were running bracket events, but in talking to my players, there were a lot of, unfortunately, they have like Zach and myself to deal with, and whoever would get like paired against us was like, what a great effing month. This is awesome. So, we heard that feedback amongst the players, and now we do have a mini qualifying thing where, to start, everyone plays every game once.
Right.
And that gives, so no matter what, whoever I get paired against, I get to play, we had 4 games. So it's like, I get to play 4 games, I'm here for at least 45 minutes, I'm having an okay time, instead of literally showing up, and 5 minutes later, you're out. Depending on, for some of our players, it was like, all right, I'm out, I get to go home and have the rest of my Tuesday night, it's okay. But that's all, group of player dependent on what they want.
And as you see it right now, pretty much people are having fun with the tournaments. Overall, people are having fun, and they're coming back.
Yeah.
They're not doing it because,
nobody's getting rich, brother. Nobody's getting rich.
Rich and famous from pinball. It might happen someday.
Maybe.
Let's get on ESPN 3, 2, 1. Any other final words for tournament players, prospective tournament players?
You got anything else that you're dying to know, want to know? Nothing I can think of, but what else you got? You got me for at least, they're still playing, so I'm not up yet.
What are good, some good, let's say, solid state era games? What's a good game or two from the 80s, 90s now that you think are good tournament games? Right now, we have Cyclone, we have, counting down to 70s.
So
but,
the secret is any game is a good tournament game. Any game, because there's a lot of games that, you find them boring or whatever. When you get put into I have to play this game well right now against this other person, what that does to you inside causes that game, everything is just intense immediately. And I think Nate Shivers talked about that on his podcast of part of what he's enjoyed about competitive pinball is it's given this new life to really crappy games where, roller game sucks. And it's well, now I have to go play Cody in a game of roller games right now. Tell me that if you're into competitive pinball, tell me that's not fun. It's suddenly roller games, since we're playing it right now, is a great game because it is causing me to go through all that fun, anxiety, excitement of the moment. And that's what makes pinball magical and not any specific title magical.
Are there any?
Oh, you like that?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
But it's important because a lot of locations, you're stuck with whatever game that operator has. And you can make it where I often would challenge some of the lazy operators out there of I'll give you, the lazy operator, the 5 greatest games that's ever been made. And next to it, give me the 5 crappiest games you can think of. And I'll promote, I'll run tournaments, I'll run specials, I'll do all the intangible good operator stuff. I will out-earn your games week after week, I guarantee it.
Right, I have up earnings from running tournaments. So it's, even as regular operators, I would like to see them kind of be corralled into this because,
it helps them.
It helps them, and who's to say players won't run it for them?
Players will run it for them.
What are the 5 worst games for pinball tournaments? Like with rules wise. No, yeah.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, hey.
Our banned list.
Like banned list.
We won't use Getaway.
All right.
We won't use Terminator 2.
Okay.
We won't use No Good Gophers.
Okay.
We won't use Arabian Nights.
Okay.
And I feel like I just added one. I can't remember.
You have put it official online, a list online.
There's the Papa Director's Guide that has like a game list, and they'll say like recommended for competitive play, and they'll have plenty of no's in there.
So there's
Go find them.
Are we still in the process of finding a few more?
Yep.
Well, thank you.
Oh, Who Done It?
Who Done It? All right, Who Done It? So those are games you don't want in your tournament.
But if they're at your local bar and that's all you got, they're fine.
Yeah, I got a T2 in a tournament right now, and
it's fine.
That's what I got. Well, thank you very much, and kick some butt.
Gonna try.